What the? Huh. The freaking brain. Gigamine. Don't go away. There you go. Move!
A handy trick.
Where? What are you talking about? Sweet. Yes.
My doggy. This is
Oh,
my doggy.
nice puppy.
I don't know. Anyway, the doggy.
That's a nice puppy.
I don't do it. Where do I do the doggy?
Yeah, it's a nice doggy. Oh, would you shut up? What's this? Oh. Weird.
Still not clear. Finish off those mellow bastards. You got enemies. I used to have one just like that.
$4.99.
Still seeing Malawon. Take him out. Somebody, now find out spending. Everyone has their price.
can't sell?
Finish off those mellow bastards!
Oh, that's why.
Still seeing Malawon! Take him out! You gotta take out all the Malawon around the diner!
How do you use these fuckers? I don't understand. Hidden machine, big game, like what is all this?
Still not clear! Finish off those Malawon bastards! Take those Malawon bastards out of the diner! Bullets and bombs! Shoot more submarines! Still seeing Malawon! Take him out! Another killer! There you
Mine's better.
Still not clear! Finish off those Malawon bastards! You gotta take out all the Malawon around the diner! If you don't fire, your enemies will.
better. All my stuff is better.
I have it, but you must promise to get this gift.
Yeah, that. It's just I'm busy with this whole thing. Time eating lots of clown baby,
Perhaps nice bees will enjoy this drink as a snack.
Okay, fine. I would anything to eat that one. Take that way. I swear, I will help you find and open.
That's as good a promise as any killer. Give the man what he needs.
Check those melons. Right here. I'll grab it. Still hear you. I'll erase and
Finally.
Science. Yeah. It's like
Finally. Only one at a time. Gotcha. Whoa, well, I'm getting confused here. Okay, stop. Hidden machine. Okay. Keep that. We'll sell the other one.
Mark's been searching for fragments of the Volcano themselves. Planet called.
Perfect. Vault Hunter, come up to sanctuary.
Great work. Peace out.
Cool.
Meet me up on the bridge when you're ready, killer.
Ready to go.
We're on, Leah. We know if we work together. Mulvaney defends President Trump on Doral selection for G7. Hi, great to have you with us. If you are new to TSD, tap on the subscription button and click the notification bell so you can receive authentic news that you can rely on daily. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney claimed that President Trump selected one of his own properties to hold next year's G7 summit because he still has the mindset of someone who is in the hospitality business. Mulvaney announced that the summit would be at Trump National Doral, Miami, but the president scrapped that idea late Saturday night. Some argued that if the administration went through with this plan, it would be in violation of the emoluments clause of the Constitution. I honestly think that what you saw in that tweet was real, he said during an interview on Fox News Sunday. The president isn't one for holding back his feelings and emotions about something. He was honestly surprised at the level of pushback. At the end of the day, he still considers himself to be in the hospitality business, and he had an opportunity to take the biggest leaders from around the world, and he wanted to put on the absolute best show, best visit that he possibly could. And he was very comfortable doing that at Doral. The administration is looking for a new venue, while the president publicly suggested that it could be at Camp David. What are your thoughts on the president initially wanting to host the G7 at Doral, keeping in mind that he was in the hospitality business and he flourished in it? And do you think it was a well-taken decision changing the venue just because the left media questions the president's intentions? Please let us know your opinions in the comments down below. If you've liked this report, please share among friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to Top Stories Today. Thank you for tuning into TSD. I'm David Ravine. See you in the next one. Skip
skip this video if you're not interested in awesome tracking technology for your vehicles or fleet. Tiny devices like these let you track your vehicles using only your smartphone or desktop. With millions sold, this is the most popular way to track fleets worldwide. But what is a vehicle tracker? Quite simply, it's a small electronic box that fits inside your vehicle, which sends signals with details of where it is and what speed it's traveling at. This super useful data comes via GPS, which feeds position data on your vehicles to all your sat-navs and devices. So what are the benefits? You know where your vehicles are at all times, anywhere in the world. Never lose track of your vehicles again. You can secure your vehicles. It's much easier to recover your vehicle in the event of a theft. You can save money. You could cut the cost of your fuel and insurance with these trackers. You can also monitor driver behavior data, such as harsh acceleration and braking, time using cruise control, pedal position, RPM bands, fuel consumption, and engine diagnostics. This nifty little device will stop your workers driving like maniacs in a flash. Best of all, it's easy to use. Manage and check your vehicles on mobiles, tablets, and desktops. These modern tracking systems give you and your company huge amounts of powerful data that will let you run your fleet more efficiently, which means saving loads of money. Ask anybody who's had vehicle tracking on their fleet, and they'll tell you that they'd never go back to working without it. If you're interested in tracking your vehicles and would love to save money in the process, compare our network of local providers and start saving today. Click the button below now to get your free quote.
As you know, many black people blame the white man for all of their personal problems. But just when you feel they've laid all of life's burdens upon you, this woman, speaking with the Oprah Winfrey Network, has found something else we're supposed to be blamed for.
Like, I hate when people talk about black women being obese. I hate it. Because it becomes a way to blame us for a set of conditions that we didn't create. We're moving, we're taking care of kids, but our food quality suffers. We are living in the Trump era. You can't get access to good health care, good insurance. The research says that black women, when we do the same diets as white women, we lose less weight and we lose it slower, even when we're following the diet than our white women counterparts.
Okay, you are not following the diet. That I can guarantee you. And I'd be willing to bet that you're literally eating enough for 4 people.
And what public health practitioners think is that our stress responses in the body change our metabolism. It's literally that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same.
Let me tell you the secret to losing weight, lady, because as some of you may have noticed over the last several months, I've been losing some myself. Almost 25 pounds to be exact, because over the last several years I've been spending way too much damn time in this kitchen on my laptop. So what I did is I stopped eating so much and started going for runs on the weekends and hit up the gym once or twice a week. And now I'm down to 200 pounds, almost my ideal weight. I could probably drop another 5 pounds or so, but hey, at least my clothes fit again. As you know, liberals never take personal responsibility for anything in their lives, but this is a whole new level of crazy. Things are getting so crazy in our society that Victoria's Secret just proudly hired their first plus-size model, size 14,
kidding
who looks
me?
like she weighs about 190 pounds. I'm sorry, but this is not a Victoria's Secret model. This isn't even a Sears catalog model. I mean, what's next? Are they going to hire a transgender model in the name of diversity? Oh, wait, what's this? Victoria's Secret cast first transgender woman as a model. The city of Portland, Oregon just banned urinals from all government municipal buildings in order to make the bathrooms gender neutral. Not just new buildings being built, but from all of the current ones. And they're literally having them all remodeled to remove them. Well, so much for trying to save the environment because urinals use a small fraction of water compared to regular toilets. But hey, it's for equality. And speaking of equality, apparently the feminists are feeling left out because all gangster movies are about guys. movies. And so some studio thought it would be a good idea to create The Kitchen, which is about a group of women who start their own syndicate. And no, it's not a comedy.
Just to be clear, now we run this neighborhood.
I can't play the audio because there's a song playing in the background and I'll get a copyright claim. But the trailer is literally trying to paint this as if it's Goodfellas for women. Not even the social justice warrior critics could pretend that the film was even halfway decent. The London Guardian called this one film, but 3 career lows and gave it 1 star. Rolling Stone also gave it 1 star and said that The Kitchen is undercooked. The Atlantic called it a mess of a movie. See, who would have thought that a feminist gangster film would have been a flop? And speaking of feminism in films, I can't wait for the new Star Wars to come out this Christmas. Not because I want to go and see it, but because hopefully this will be the last one that they make, because they're ruining my childhood. Get yourself a liberalism find a cure shirt from my online store, markdice.com, to help spread the word and support my channel. And subscribe here for daily check back every Monday through Friday for a new report. Like,
In early 2015, 2 Japanese citizens were brutally beheaded by the Islamic State, and the whole nation was in shock. Questions arose on what could have been done and why Kenji Goto and Haruna Yukawa had to die. Article 9 of Japan's constitution forbids the country from going to war. The ruling party, the conservative LDP, has been voicing its intention to change the article for the past 60 years. In the wake of the killings, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who is also LDP's leader, has found new leverage for his highly controversial push for a reinterpretation of Article 9. Japan's left, however, is fiercely opposing a change of Japan's pacifist constitution. They fear that Abe will use the killings for his agenda to remilitarize Japan. For the nation's right-wing groups, on the other hand, the change of Article 9 is long overdue. The Uyoku, as they are called in Japanese, claim that Japan as a sovereign nation has the right to defend itself. For them, the Abe government did too little, too late, restrained by Article 9, which prohibits Japanese forces from invading foreign soil. Today is a really important holiday for the Japanese right, and one of the leaders has announced that he'll be coming here today to the Yasukuni Shrine. We'll get his take on what he thinks on the whole hostage crisis. Mitsunori Agata is the leader of Dai Nippon Shikokai, a large right-wing group based in Tokyo. The Uyoku are nationalists, reactionists, and some are even connected to the underworld.
座って大丈夫ですか。ありがとうございます。座ってなんか食べない。まず第一に残忍な殺戮の仕方っていうのはもう人間の技じゃないよね。血の通ってる人間だったらよくあんなことが冷静さを振る舞いながらできると思って。
まあ安倍政権はどうやってなんか動けばよかったと思いますか。
したたかさっていうのが必要なのよ。政治とか外交は2億ドル援助したわけでしょ。イスラム国と戦っている者たちに対して協力するっていうような名目で最初は言ってたわけだよ。だけど今度の問題が出たからって急遽それを今度はあくまでも難民だとかそういう人たちの救済に当てるためだっていうようなことを言い換えたような形取ったじゃん、安倍さんが今度はね。でそれならそれでいいんですよ。それだけ強調すればいいね。それを後でおひれをつけて喋ってるじゃない。断固としてテロを戦うこういう行為に対してだっていうことを批判的に言ってるじゃないのね。だからあれをあえて付け加えなきゃよかったんだよ、逆にね。
この事件があったから憲法変わる可能性は高くなったと。
高くなってるでしょ。
The right is taken into the streets right now here in Shinjuku, and as you might expect, their opinions are quite different to the mainstream.
結局彼らは殺されてしまいました。日本が衰退してしまった。これが一番の原因だと思います。ね、ここにも書いてあります。日本民族至上主義という訴えている人間が日本人の同胞が殺されてどう思うかって、おそらく注目されている方たくさんいると思うんですよ。
正直言って殺されて当たり前だと思ってますよね。だって渡航禁止してるところに自分たちで行ってるわけじゃないですか。正直な人がだって湯川さんとかそういうものを取ってお金儲けしてるわけじゃないですか。それで行って捕まって殺されたらしょうがないですよね。逆に迷惑しますよ。日本の国が巻き込まれてあれでもうニュースになったりいろいろお金を使って税金使ったりして国が助けなきゃいけないじゃないですか。
2人ともなんか日本人だったからそのことについてどう思いますか。なんかこういうリベンジとかそういう考え方はないですか。
なんか同じ東方と思えないんですよ。考え方が違うんで彼らはどっちかって左に近い方で僕らからしたら排除したい方なんで。
On July 1st, 2014, Prime Minister Abe's cabinet approved a document that revises the interpretation of Article 9, which was followed by a large protest rally in front of Abe's residence. Polls have shown that a majority of Japanese citizens are against the changes pushed by Abe. The left has organized events all across the nation to commemorate Mr. Goto and Mr. Yukawa, and also to remind people that as horrible as the beheadings were, there is still no reason to go to war. It's freezing cold tonight here in Tokyo. Still more people than expected gathered here today for this memorial for Mr. Goto and Mr. Yukawa. I'm standing here with Mr. Ide from the Japanese Antifa. He's one of the organizers of the event. Ide-san, よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。今回の事件っていうのは、本当に痛ましい事件なんですけど、安 安倍政権がこれをもしや、きっかけにして利用してその集団的自衛権行使、他国に行って戦争ができる国にしようとしているようなそういう流れを彼が掴もうとしているようなところがあってでそれに対してものすごく危機感を感じてますし多くの人はそれを望んでないと思いますそれに対してはすごく憤りを感じています
2人の殺害事件をきっかけに武力で解決するかのようなことを政府が言い始めていることにとっても危機感を感じます。
While the vast majority of Japan is mourning the death of Mr. Goto and Mr. Yukawa, one man shows little empathy for the two slain Japanese citizens. Now we're on our way to meet the Afghan samurai, the only ever Japanese to fight together with the Mujahideen warriors against the Russians in the 80s in Afghanistan. Up there in his office, he's gonna appear in some kind of live internet show with Mr. Chodoin Sensei. Let's check it out. The man with the samurai sword is Daikaku Chodoin. He is a rich, flamboyant man with connections to the Uyuku right-wing groups. Today's topics of Chodoin's web TV episode are the beheadings and the Islamic State. His guest is Koshiro Tanaka, a former Mujahideen fighter who seems to have a special insight into these issues.
いつも手榴弾を2個持っておりました。1個は私捕まえに来たやつを殺すため、1つは自分の顔を爆破するためです。この後藤健二という人がたった一つ一番大事なことを忘れたのは死ぬということを忘れてるわけです。日本人としての恥です。これは
なんで日本人はなんかアフガニスタンまでに行ってなんかソビエトのなんか戦うために
いやそれは私は武道家ですから、いざ最後に死ぬ場所で本当に死ぬ覚悟を持って敵に迎えるかという自分自身の存在確認があったので、まあここなら死ねると思ってそれでアフガニスタンに行った一人で
一人です行った時にまあいろいろな人に空手とか教えたりしましたんです、
はい軍の人間が多いですから僕は軍にも教えてますしスワット特殊部隊なんかにも教えてますし、彼らには大義がないあいつには正義もないイスラムを歌ってますけどもイスラムの人の殺し方じゃないです誰が国民になるんですかその地域にいる人たちだけでこの人たちを力で押さえつけてるじゃないですかいや
安倍さんも今なんかこのなんか憲法変わりたいんですよね、はい、このことについてはどう思いますか
悪いことではありません自分の国を自分たちの手で守るというのは当たり前のことですよその当たり前のことができない国はおかしいですよ
The Uyuku has branches all around Japan. In Saitama, we met with yet another right-wing group, together with the local Yakuza. The Uyuku and the Yakuza are closely connected and share certain core values, like the protection of the communities.
憲法を変えるっていうことが良くないことだっていうイメージがついちゃってるんですよ
今アメリカの独国なわけじゃないですか言ってしまえばで日米安保条約ってあるけどこれはもうおめかけ条約ですね私から言わせるとね
その前にも中国が尖閣諸島を攻めてきたりとかいろいろちょっかい出してるんでもう徐々にもう変えなきゃっていうもうアメリカは助けてくんないってのはもう分かった
日米友好条約っていうのであれば同じ肩の高さにならなくちゃ同じ憲法をちゃんと英国憲法を破棄して
人気団体の目から見るとこの事件に対してはどう思いますか
あれを見た時にねなるっていうのはすごい思いますよ目の前にもしねそのイスラム国のあいつらがいたらねやっちゃいますよねこっちはねまあ同じような殺し方はしないにしても僕らなんかねまあそういうことになるけどでもやっぱりねあんなやり方されたらね本当にねこれ見せないですよね憲法がね としてジェフがいただから私らのような軍隊でそこで戦うようなね、もうそういう思いがやっぱりねすごく強くある人間が集まってますから、やっぱりねそういうところでねこうやれたらいいのかなってちょっと思いますよね。あとはそのジェフに言ってるような人間たちがね、自分の出して引っ張り出してきて、お前たちも絶対来いっしょ。そういう形でね、その要するにじゃあマリ先生のプログラムどこでもやりに行くんだってですね、行きますよ。
Japanese tradition says you search for your own mistakes first. Still, it is surprising to see most right-wingers not pointing the finger at the Islamic State first, but at their own government, or even the hostages themselves. Abe's plan to change Article 9 is more realistic than ever, as a result of the hostage crisis. And the changes are being discussed as we speak. And while he'll face fierce opposition from his political rivals like the Democratic Party of Japan and protests on the streets, it is getting more and more likely that we'll see Japanese soldiers on foreign soil one day.
الامريكان لليوم هم وعدونا والله عمري من اول قصاص نقص وهناك اناس تقتل على هذه الساعه.
The militias have kind of taken over. It's not really the government leading the militias, it's the other way around.
This is the very front line in the global fight against the Islamic State.
From the beginning of Iraq's war with the Islamic State, Vice News travelled to Iraq to meet the Shia militias fighting on the front lines to defend their country. Syed Hamid al-Yasri, leader of Ansar al-Majahir, a relatively new militia from southern Iraq, agreed to take us to the front lines in Anbar province, an Islamic State stronghold just west of Baghdad.
كانت هذه المنطقة منطقة العامرية محاصرة لفترة 9 أشهر، فمن جينا فكينا الحصار عنها وسيطرنا على الجسم. هاي المنطقة تقريبا أكثر من 200، والملفت للنظر كل الدواعش اللي انقتلوا بهاي المناطق جنسيات أجانب.
Following the collapse of the Iraqi army after the capture of Mosul, the Islamic State advanced swiftly south, taking a third of the country before forcing Iraq's Shia militias to step in and halt the push on Baghdad. We arrived in the countryside outside of the town of Amirat al-Fallujah that had been seized from the Islamic State by the Majahir in the last 6 months. Fighting is, however, still constant, and areas like this are a key obstacle to the Islamic State's march on Baghdad.
So this is the Amirat bridge that runs over the river Euphrates. The bridge used to run to Amirat al-Fallujah further down the road, but when ISIS were pushed out of this position, they packed it full of C4 explosives and blew the bridge to slow down the Majahir fighters. This area around here is all Sunni, which you'd expect there would be problems between the Sunnis and the Shia volunteers, but actually the Shia volunteers here fight alongside some of the Sunni tribes here to stop ISIS attacks in the area.
هذا العيساوي البطل.
بالتعاون مع القوات الأمنية استطاعوا حماية هذه المنطقة وحرس هذه المنطقة، والآن بدأوا يتقدمون لتحرير كل المناطق اللي يقترب منها الدواعش. صدق؟ اليوم أودي لك حلوة.
القوة هنا السنة والشيعة كنا نقاتل قتال واحد، يعني السني زائد الشيعي، يعني قتال واحد، ما يحاول أي واحد يقدر يخترق هاي القوة.
Yes, you're from a Sunni tribe. Have the government been helping you with weapons and finance to help you guys defend this area?
دعم كان لنا دعم، بس إن شاء الله الدعم راح يوصلنا بعد الزيارة. إن شاء الله بعد الزيارة راح يوصلنا الدعم. بس حاليا دعم كعتاد ما عندنا عتاد، خلصنا عتاد حاليا.
أهم شيء تجي قطرون عليها تقطير. أكو بعض الأحيان يصير قصف هنا ما يخالف.
Yasri heard that the Islamic State were advancing on one of the Mujahid positions and that a firefight had broken out, so we made our way there to see the close quarters fighting for ourselves.
So according to the fighters here, ISIS are only a couple of 100 meters away, and this position here comes under attack every day. ISIS try and move through the palm groves to attack the trenches and the buildings here, but also attack them with mortars.
They're flying back towards this farmhouse. The Mujahid fighters. Seems that Imam Abbas and Hussein, the main figures in the Shia religion. I guess it's a way to essentially troll ISIS. Fighters here saying ISIS are only 100 meters away. These guys are also using heavy machine gun dushkas and RPGs against ISIS positions. This is literally the very front line in the global fight against the Islamic State. It's pretty frightening. This is what these guys do day in, day out here, fighting against the Islamic State. And they're getting very little support from the outside world and even their own government.
Back at the base, the fighters were jubilant to return without any casualties.
كانت التوجيهات تصلنا يوميا من مكتب السيد السيستاني: إياكم والمساس بآثاث أهالي هذه المناطق، إياكم والمساس. كان الهم الأول الذي أوصتنا به المرجعية: يجب أن تشعروا هؤلاء الأهالي بالاطمئنان باللجوء إلى تجار الأسلحة، تجار المادة السلاحية الموجودة في الأسواق. حتى سعر البندقية التي كانت ب500,000 أصبح في 2,000,000 و1,500,000. جئنا لنقول لتختلط دماءنا مع دماءكم ولنضع أيدينا بأيديكم لضرب هذه الحركات التكفيرية الإرهابية التي جاءت. هنا هم القصاص وهم البدوي، والله هم البدوي والقصاص نقص. هاي سكينة مطلعها تاريخ. شنو التاريخ؟ شنو؟ تاريخ موجود.
The Mujahid is one of many militias fending off the threat of the Islamic State in Iraq. Following the capture of Mosul by the Islamic State, Ayatollah Sistani, the most important Shia cleric in Iraq, called on all able-bodied Iraqis to help defend the country. In the following weeks, tens of thousands of men joined a number of different militias, some backed by Iran and some with a history of sectarian abuses. We travelled south to Karbala, home of two of the most sacred shrines of Shia Islam, to see what many of the militias are fighting to protect.
So this is the Al-Hara al-Husseini, which is the compound in Karbala that contains the two shrines to Imam Abbas and Imam Hussein. They were two brothers and grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad who were martyred in the 7th century in the Battle of Karbala, making Karbala the most holiest of cities for Shia Muslims, which also makes it a prime target for ISIS fighters. Currently it's a Muharram, which is sort of a holy time commemorating the death of the two brothers, and there's millions of pilgrims come here during this period. You've got lots of people here even sleeping overnight at the shrines. Lots of Iranians come by bus over the border to Iraq. It's a massive complex. Thousands of people come here and pray every day, but despite the massive threat that ISIS pose, people don't seem to be put off at all.
If the Islamic State were able to attack Karbala and reignite the Sunni-Shia conflict, the state of Iraq itself could be in jeopardy, with the breakup of Iraq into smaller sectarian states a genuine possibility, which makes the Shia militia's role in protecting the shrines and routes of the pilgrims appear all the more vital. We travelled to the west of Samarra, home to another important Shia shrine where Harakat Nujaba, a militia comprised of veterans of the Shia insurgency against the United States, were involved in heavy clashes with the Islamic State the day before.
It's got to be one of the more dangerous roads I've ever travelled on. There's hardly any traffic, and the roadside is littered with burnt out and destroyed vehicles. We're having to travel very fast in between the checkpoints because the road is constantly targeted by mortar and sniper fire. So this is a Nujaba position. They control the west side of Samarra along the highway towards Tikrit. On the road we came up here, we could see a lot of craters in the road. The fighters were saying they were remnants of IEDs that ISIS left behind.
هذا الاحتلال الامريكي بالعراق لما تشكيل المقاومه العراقيه موجوده بالشيعيه الموجوده بالعراق.
And do you find it weird then that you're essentially fighting on the same side of the Americans now?
لا احنا ما نقاتل مع القوات الامريكيه. الامريكان اليوم هم عدونا.
The fighters here saying that yesterday one of the ISIS pickup trucks with the heavy machine gun mounted on top was using this area as a firing position to hit their troops further down the road. The fighters also say that they use the Dushka heavy machine guns, which can also hit aircraft and helicopters, to target the Iraqi army helicopters that patrol the road, covering the pilgrims moving to Samarra and then moving from Samarra down to Karbala. So the Nujaba fighters are saying that this little farmhouse here was where ISIS were camping out over the past few days, using it to launch attacks on their positions further east. They're saying that when the Nujaba fought back, they retreated inside the farmhouse, and you can see bullets smashed up the walls here. And they managed to hit a couple of ISIS guys, some body armor here covered in blood. This is where the ISIS sniper was taking position, and they're saying they managed to get him. They killed him. Despite Islamic State enforcing a no smoking ban across their so-called caliphate, lots of cigarette butts around here. So a couple of shots just got fired. I'm not sure whether it was the ISIS fighters. Certainly pretty close. The bins of mortar rounds just dotted around.
No. What is this now?
That was today?
No, today.
Wow. Quickly out of the open ground. Because the fighters here fear that ISIS have got snipers watching this position, we had to essentially sprint from the last farmhouse to this one whilst they provided covering fire. They're now basically prepping a mortar. The guy on the roof in the farmhouse behind him, checking to see where the mortar landed, and then telling him to adjust the distance to make sure that they hit the target. actually see the smoke from that one. It's very close. With what appears to be direct hits in the Islamic State positions, we begin to move back towards the Nujabah's HQ. The Nujabah fighters are saying this is where ISIS treated their wounded in the battle over the past couple of days. They've now obviously since fled, and the Nujabah have destroyed half the building. Though we can't see that much evidence of any sort of medical equipment being used or bandages or anything like that. This was clearly someone's home at some point. Now it's been destroyed. It'll be a long time before the civilians in this area will be able to return. With many thousands of Iraqi civilians displaced by the fighting, we travel to Baghdad to see the fallout from the militia's war against the Islamic State. We've come here to West Baghdad to meet some Sunni families from Anbar who've had a combination of ISIS attacks, Shia militia abuses and indiscriminate barrel bombings by the Iraqi army. A lot of these families come here to this mosque to receive food and medical aid donated privately because the government basically isn't helping them enough.
يعني تنشط فيها الميليشيات الشيعية فالناس نزحت الفلوجة والأنبار نزحت بسبب العنف والداعش كما هو موجود يعني.
What do you think of the Shia militia's involvement in the war against the Islamic State?
وحت لها مساحة واسعة تماما بالصولة والجولة في القتل والنهب وسرقة أموال الناس خصوصا بعد أحداث الموصل بفتوى من قبل المرجعية. وأنا أجري معك اللقاء الآن هناك أناس ينحرون بالسكاكين وهناك أناس تقتل على هذه الساعة ومستمرة غير منقطعة. نرجو نسأل الله العفو والعافية.
Do you think these attacks by the government, the indiscriminate bombing and the abuses carried out by the Shia militias, do you think that will drive some people to join ISIS and fight for them?
يعني الشباب المتحمس الذي يرى قد والده قد قتلت أو أن أخته قد اغتصبت كيف الناس لا تحقد كيف الناس لا يكون ناتج سريع لهذا هذا هم ليس من نبت البلد ولكنها نتائج يعني فورية لما نراه من ردات فعل هذا لا يمثلنا لا نمثل ولكننا لا نستطيع أن نرتدع الناس أن الحكومة الآن تكتب بأسماء طائفية وأسماء رموز سنية.
Despite the successes the militias have had in combating the Islamic State, various reports have surfaced documenting abuses carried out by the militias, who largely remain outside of the government's control. We met with someone from Human Rights Watch who wished to remain anonymous for fear of their safety returning to Iraq.
You have militias who are on the front lines, and the kinds of abuses that we've been seeing there by the militias, once they clear an area of ISIS, they then go back, to the villages that they have cleared, and any civilians that are left there, they expel from the villages. They documented widespread burning and destruction of homes. That's something that we've reported in literally every single place where militias are leading the fight against ISIS. In some instances, we have documented them carrying out summary executions of people afterward. Different spheres of control that each militia has, but the ones that we've documented and them carrying out summary executions of people afterward. There's definitely different spheres of control that each militia has, but the ones that we've documented the most abuses by are definitely better organization. Which now the head of the organization, Hadi Al-Amri, used to be Iraq's transport minister. He's an extremely powerful figure, and he's essentially acting with total impunity now. It's not really the government leading the militias, it's the other way around.
We're on our way to Diyala province to meet Hadi Amri, a figure who possibly epitomizes the controversial nature of the Shia militia's involvement in the war against the Islamic State. Amri is a former anti-Saddam guerrilla fighter who's been accused of running death squads during the sectarian civil conflict 8 years ago, but now heads up the Badr organization, a political party.
How is Prometheus?
A jungle of concrete and neon. Atlas is on its last gasp.
Help Reese when we can. Right now, we've got to get to Athena. Got a friend there. Should see what she knows. Claptrap, tight broadcast to Athena. Call sign Sapphire. Bad time?
Yeah, kind of. I'm guessing you're calling it the battle of the crafting our monastery? Well, I don't know. There's nowhere to take it is serious.
She can hold her own until we get there.
She's a siren. Badass as they come. Hell, maybe we can convince her to join us. It would be helpful to have another siren on board. Besides you. I was still talking you. Oh, shit. Everyone, look at this class train. Booyah! Set a course for Athena.
Don't shoot! I mean, hey. Goodbye for now.
Yes, baby.
A bandit cult led by a soul-sucking siren. Intercorporate won't beat the Where's crap a minute ago? No doubt about it. You just keep kicking ass for Lil. Someone's gonna shoot. Well, hop on in whenever.
Its own militia that's considered to be one of the strongest and most powerful in the country. The Badr organization has been responsible for a string of successes against the Islamic State, but also have been accused of a number of abuses against Sunni communities in areas they control.
I suppose I would have that.
Whoa. Cool. Very Asian. Awesome. Awesome. No.
I wonder.
It'll be nice to have someone else here besides my apprentice who hasn't taken non-violence. Speaking of which...
Feel the blood.